Hey everybody, welcome. Coming up next, I've been wanting to feature some games designed by smaller, independent designers, maybe some names you haven't heard of, maybe some publishers you've not heard of. They may be new, they may just be small, but I wanted to shine a little spotlight on some wargame designers that maybe you hadn't heard of before, who maybe haven't been getting the attention that they deserve. And today we're going to start off with a little card game, a little light solitaire World War I themed card game called Ypres Salient. It is designed by Felbrigg Herriot. He's a regular over on Board Game Geek. I know I've been seeing him around the forums for a long time, and I didn't even know he designed games. But when I stumbled across this, it intrigued me right away. I learned something before I even got the box open. Ypres Salient was the nickname given to the Ypres Salient in Belgium during World War I. Apparently because it's easier for our English-speaking mouths to say wipers than Ypres. So anyway, it really intrigued me. A short game, a deck builder, quickly playable, very portable. So I wanted to check it out. So let's get to the table and check out Ypres Salient. Okay, we've got Ypres Salient out and just about ready to play. Let's go over the different types of cards that you're going to be using in the game and the one extra component on the side here. We'll start with this one. This is your disposition tracker, and it's going to keep track of your morale and your health each turn. And for those of you who order from Gamecrafter, you should know this disposition tracker is not included with the deck of cards that you get. It is available for free download, but for those of you whose printers don't work, it's just too simple, 1 through 10 tracks. You can use a pencil and paper if you want, or if space is limited, you know, a couple of D10s will work to track your morale and health as needed. Now, up here, we've got our German enemy deck. Let's get a closer look. Now, the German enemies can be identified by the cross symbol up in the top left-hand corner, and over here in the top right-hand corner in the red circle is the number of attack strength required to kill this German enemy. Down here is the number in morale and health points of damage that this enemy will do to you if left out on the current turn. Now what you're going to do, you're going to take your German enemies and you're going to sort them in order of strength required to eliminate them, and you're going to put them face down. Next up is the Ready Resource deck. Now, the Ready Resource deck is only 3 cards. They are left face up, numbers 1, 2, and 3. They're left face up and are available to you to purchase as resources for your hand, for your deck, which you'll be building. And they have some stats on them that are common to all resource cards. Up here in the yellow circle is their purchase price in resource points, and these values down here are from top to bottom. Resources, for example, this one offers 2 resources. Morale points, these are worth 0 morale. Health, and attack strength. These are available to you right off the bat at the very beginning of the game. They are inexpensive, and they will each offer you at least 2 supply. And here is our starting hand of cards. You'll always have the same starting hand of cards, and they are denoted by the white hand up in the top left-hand corner. And as you can see, they have no purchase price. You begin the game with these cards. And up here is flavor text. It's just for a little bit of narrative. They really don't have any effect on the game. And same deal, you got your resource value, morale, health, and attack strength. And over here, we've got our resource deck. Now at the beginning of the game, you're going to be drawing 4 cards from the resource deck and placing them face up out on the table. The resource deck, each card has a different purchase price in resources. Some of them have special abilities that will let you conduct a special action when you play it, and they all have a resource, morale, health, and attack strength rating. You're going to shuffle these cards up, and once they're shuffled, you're going to place them face down, and then to set up the game, you're going to deal out 4 of these resource cards. And now we're ready to play. Okay, let's have a quick look at the turn sequence. The first thing you're going to do is deal yourself 5 cards out of your draw deck. Now, at the beginning of the game, of course, you've already got your starting 5 cards. The next thing you're going to do is deploy an enemy. Then you have an opportunity to buy a card either from the ready resource deck or from the row of resource cards that you've laid out. You can then play your cards for all of their values and then discard them. And then there's an opportunity for enemy cards that are still laid out face up on the table to attack you and do damage. So we've got our starting 5 cards here. The next thing we must do is deal out an enemy. And you're going to start building a line of enemies here along the top of your resource row. So here's our first enemy. And as we can see, he has 1 morale damage that he will deal. And it's going to take 3 attack strength to defeat him. Now the first action that we can take is to buy a card either from the ready resource deck or from our 4-card resource row here. In our hand we have 3, 5, 6 resource points, and then we can decide which card we want to purchase. You don't have to purchase a card, but you may. Now I really like this card here, but it costs 7 resources in order to purchase it, so that one's going to have to wait. But this card here, which is worth 6, that's a good card. That's going to offer me 3 morale points and 2 additional attack strength. We're going to purchase this card. So we'll set it over here in our discard pile. Purchased cards cannot be immediately used on the turn you're currently on. They're set into the discard pile. Next thing we need to do is draw up a new resource card to replace the one we just purchased. Next up, we get to play the other values on our cards. We have a grand total of 1 morale and 1 health point. Now, since this is only the first turn, we haven't accumulated any damage yet, so we don't have to spend our morale or health. But, you know, a few turns down the road, you know, assuming we've taken some damage, you would get to spend that 1 morale and that 1 health point, restoring your morale and health ratings. And then finally, if we want, we can tally up our attack strength points and possibly remove from the game one of the enemy attack cards, one of the enemy cards up in the enemy attack row. Well, here we see we only have 2 attack strength in this beginning hand. And it takes at least 3 attack strength to defeat this enemy. So we can't attack that enemy card yet. And then the final stage of the turn sequence is the enemy attack stage. Well, we already noted that our enemy does 1 morale damage, so we move our morale track down 1 point. Once we've completed the turn, we take our hand and we put it all into the discard pile. We've shuffled up our discard pile. Now let's begin a new turn by drawing a 5-card hand from our draw deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have 6 cards now, because remember, we purchased a card from our last turn. Let's go ahead and play through one more turn. Okay, I've dealt out my new 5-card hand. We'll turn up our next enemy. Now I get to purchase a card. I've got 5 resource points. I'll select this one to purchase. Home Leave. And it's got a special ability on it. I can retire a card from my hand or the discard pile. That means later on in the game, if I have cards that aren't helping me out so much, I can get rid of them to keep them from clogging up the works. So I'm going to purchase this for 4 resource points and place it over here in my start a new discard pile. Next thing I'm going to do is start, let's see, I got 4 morale points, but 0 health. Well, 4 morale points is more than enough to repair the damage I sustained from my last turn. Of course, I hadn't taken any health damage yet. Now I can try to do some damage to these enemies. Oops! I forgot to replace the card I purchased. Now, I can do some damage to these enemies up here. So, I look at my hand, and we can see that I have 4 attack strength. Well, he takes 4 attack strength to eliminate. He takes 3. I can eliminate either one of these from the game right now. Let's see, they're weaker enemies. Do I choose to leave them out and clog up space for later, or do I kill one now? Because when you're drawing enemies, no more than 4 enemies can occupy the enemy line. So, just to show you, I'll go ahead and I'm going to take out this 4 strength enemy here and take him out of the game. Now that I'm done playing my cards, I have to assign damage by the remaining enemies. And again, he does 1 morale damage. Take my damage, throw my hand into the discard pile, and then shuffle up for the next turn. And that's how to play Ypres Salient. Now, to win the game, you must defeat and get rid of all of the enemies in the enemy card deck. Very difficult to do. The game will end when either your morale or health drop below 1. Whenever the game ends, tally up your score by adding up the attack values of all of your defeated enemies for your final score. So, Ypres Salient. I actually ended up enjoying this little game a lot more than I thought I would. It's an intriguing premise. What's really cool about it is that I don't think I had a game go over 20-25 minutes. It's really quick playing, and it's really fun. It's engaging. And as short as the games are, it's got that quality of of just really quick, just shuffling them up and playing another game. It keeps you engaged. I like the way the cards are laid out. It does kind of a good job tricking your mind. It gives you that little visual representation, the way the enemies are laid out, the way your resource row is laid out. It kind of gives you that impression of enemy troops approaching your trench, and you have to fend off those enemies. And there's some good choices to be made in this game. Depending on where your disposition tracker is, your morale and your health. Are you gonna, when you're buying cards, do you want to spend your resources on cards that'll give you more resources later on, or do you want to start maybe spending more on attack strength, or maybe it's your disposition tracker's a little low, maybe it's time to start spending your currency, the resources, on cards that'll give you more health, more morale. So really, there's a constant choices. Every turn is going to see you debating whether or not you want to start switching up your strategy a little bit. Do you want to maybe play more of a waiting game and let those weaker enemies hang out on the enemy card row a little longer while you try to accumulate stronger cards? Or are you the type that maybe wants to be a little more aggressive, get your attack going a little sooner, and start racking up those dead enemies as quickly as possible to increase your score? I've played it many times now. I've only won a couple of times. And winning is going to require some luck. There is a luck-driven aspect to this game. Luck of the draw. So yeah, great little game, Felbrigg. A couple little things I want to say, though. There is a danger of sameness. And it's a light game. It's a quick game. So, if you play like 5, 6, 7 games in a row, yeah, it's going to start to feel a little bit the same every time. You're starting off with the same 5 cards in your starting hand every game. The enemies are placed in order in the enemy stacks, so they're going to come out exactly the same every time. So, yeah, you're kind of, you start feeling like you're treading really worn ground there. At the beginning of each game. But the resource deck that you're drawing from to build your draw deck, there's plenty of different types of cards in here with all different values. So even though each game starts out with that feeling of sameness, it really has the potential to go off in different directions every single game, and it feels fresh at that point. So, good little game, a good little deck builder. It's enjoyable. One other little thing, the artwork on these cards, and some of you may be big fans. Most, if not all, of the artwork on here is from a man named Bruce Bairnsfather. I totally understand. I totally get the designer's choice to use this artwork on here. Bruce Bairnsfather was an actual British soldier who served in the Ypres Salient on the front line. So yeah, there's really, it gives it a nice personal touch, I think. It gives it some real historical significance to be able to look at these cartoons drawn by someone who was actually there. But the war gamer in me, I think it would have been a bit more immersive, would have given it really more of a war gamey feel, had maybe some actual battlefield photography been used on the cards. But you know what? That's completely subjective. That may have not been the feel that the designer was going for. It is a very light game, so, therefore it's pretty light artwork on these cards. But, still, I enjoyed it. But great little game, Felbrigg. I'm going to give this a thumbs up. Cool little game. Quick playing, fun. It's got a tiny little rule book. Most of this is just informational on, you know, what the symbols on the cards mean, how to set it up, etc. Very challenging. Like I said, I've only won it a couple times, and I've played many, many times. So good job, Felbrigg. You can purchase this game pre-printed. It's self-published by Felbrigg Herriot, but if you want to buy it printed, you can purchase it through the Gamecrafter, or if you'd like, you can download it for print and play from Wargame Vault. I'll supply links to both down in the video description. And yeah, nice little game. This is going to fill a great little niche in my collection. This is actually going to go in the glove box of my truck because it travels really well. It doesn't take up much space. Perfect for when I'm stuck in the waiting room at my daughter's orthodontist or on my lunch break at work, whatever. So thank you for designing this. I enjoyed it. That's going to be it for Ypres Salient, everybody. Designed by Felbrigg Herriot and self-published by Felbrigg Herriot as well. So that's going to be it for Ypres Salient. If you'd like to see more of my reviews and game playthroughs, I hope you'll check out my YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button while you're there. And until next time, happy gaming.